welcome to a brand new episode of Women's World with me, Sonia Bhattacharya. Well, whether it be actors, singers, police officers, writers, or even entrepreneurs, women today have ventured into almost every field and have succeeded. However, the list doesn't end there. Even when it comes to administration, women have not lagged behind in any way. So today we will be conversing with three bureaucrats, and I'm sure their stories are going to be encouraging and inspiring. Today I am joined by Nandita Hazarika, State Mission Director, Assam State Rural Livelihood Mission, Sujata Suchibrata, Deputy Secretary of Food, Civil Supplies and Consumer Affairs Department, and Ms. Pomi Barwa, Deputy Secretary, Environment and Forest Department. So first of all, ladies, thank you so much for joining us on Women's World. Such an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Right, likewise, and I'm sure we're going to be learning so much from your journey, from your experiences, and our viewers are also definitely going to be enriched. So first of all, I think it'd be best to just travel back in time and talk about how your journey started, how you decided to step into this world of, policy making, administration. We'll start with you, Ms. Nandita. How did you make this decision?
Well, if you look into it, I think the journey began in a winter, month of December when my mom decided to give birth to me. And again, the journey in administration began when probably my mom was the one who inspired me to venture into this field. Many people are very lucky when they have focused plans, when they do certain things. Well, I was not lucky enough. I never had any focused plans. I was good in my studies. I kept on, doing it. I post-graduated from Jawaharlal Nehru University in Delhi in sociology. And, I was just going on with my life. But it was my mom who probably took hold of my life. And she got those APSC forms. And she asked me, why don't you fill it up? At least try and sit for the exam, see what will happen. And that is how my foray into administration began. And if I look back, I must say it was my mom who not only brought me into this world to start the journey of life, but it was my mom who actually took me ahead in my journey in administration.
Okay, that's beautiful. Your mother has played a very pivotal role in shaping your life.
Yes, definitely.
That's lovely. And what about Ms. Pomi? Can you relate to that? Was your story similar?
Yes, my story is definitely very much similar to what Baidu has just said. Actually, I'll tell you an incident that happened to me when I was in Tejpur. Actually, I belong to Tejpur. I'm from there. And I had, after passing my 12th from Durham College, I decided to go to Delhi, Miranda House. I did my bachelor's from there and I did my master's from Delhi University. And I always had it in my mind, that I would get into administration someday. And I think when I was in school, during the elections, I had seen one magistrate long back, a lady officer who was in the polling station in front of my house. And there was some ruckus, but she handled it so well, so deftly, and I could see the admiration in the faces of all the people who were there, and they were like, oh my God, she's done a very nice job. And then, that a lady magistrate doing a very good job in handling the mob out there, it struck me as something very impressive, something very extraordinary. And then I think then and there I decided that, well, this is what I would like to be someday. So after having, passed my academics from Miranda and DU with laurels, I came back and then I was teaching in Durham College for some time. Even that job was very nice. But then I sat for my Assam Civil Service exams, APSC exams, and then this is where I am.
Okay, that's a very beautiful journey for you as well. Yes, you were inspired as a schoolgirl.
Yes, I was inspired
when a lady magistrate came.
Yes, when I was in Tejpur and I was in school. I think that time I was in class 5 or 6. So I wanted to be a magistrate since then, and so I'm happy to be where I am.
Okay, and there's something very common about your journey, the two of you. But before I get into that, I'd also like to know from Ms. Sujata about your journey.
Well, during my school days, initially what happened is that I was very scared of maths. So in maths and science, I used to score very low marks. But we had a subject called social studies. We had a subject, later on we had a subject called civics and economics. So during that time, during that phase, I could make out that I was good in those subjects. Like I would score marks, I would, go through the newspapers. I had that habit because it was developed, of course, looking after my at my father. I followed his steps, like he used to regularly follow the newspapers, magazines, anything. So from that angle, I started my journey from there, from school days itself, and later on, once I passed out my matric, because after that I didn't had any brush with mathematics. So later on I started scoring good marks in those subjects. I had economics, political science as subjects for my higher secondary as well as the degree. So after completing my degree from Cotton College in political science, I then moved again to Dibrugarh University. My hometown is Dibrugarh.
Right.
So I pursued there and I passed out my masters from there in 96, 97. So later there was an option open to me, like my parents told me whatever option you have, in your choice, you can choose from it. So from there onwards I decided that why can't I appear for my APSC exams. My father also inspired me a lot in that line. So even my mother was not that back also, she was all along with me. So later on 96, 97 I passed off, then 98 I filled up the form, and by 99 our results were out and I was selected in that year 99. So basically my weakness in mathematics and science led me to pursue this, no other options left, so I had to pursue this.
Okay, but then you turned your weakness into a strength.
Yes,
ultimately. It works for good.
So. You may
definitely.
say so. You may say so.
All right. So, something I've seen, like I said earlier, that something common about your journey or your story is that you both went to Delhi. And you were there, you were studying in JNU, you were in Delhi University, and so you had the option of never coming back to the Northeast, which many people do. Many people do find flaws in the region, but they're never willing to come back and rectify it, to get their hands dirty. So what was that motivating factor behind your lives that made you take this bold decision of coming back to the region and not just complaining about what this area lacks, but to do something about it? What was the motivating factor?
You see, I always think that one should not be an escapist.
Yeah.
You see, you can always find flaws with everything if you want to, but you can also find the strength and the good things that the region has. And therefore, Assam was like when I came back, way back in 90s, this was not a very developed region. You had insurgency at that point of time. Yeah. The Alpha problem was there. I mean, you can name it and you had it, like sort of a thing. But then I also saw the opportunity of, working in this area where you can actually contribute to its, growth. And that actually is a motivation for you. Even today, the area where I work, the rural, poor, the rural women, that is my target group.
Yeah.
I always look at them as an opportunity. People say that, we talk of entrepreneurs, and the general conception of an entrepreneur is she must be well educated, she must have money, she must have had the exposure.
Yeah.
I deal with entrepreneurs from the rural women who is not educated, who is, does not have the money, but in their own small way, they are contributing to the growth of Assam. Absolutely. And if you can work with those people, you will see that, your entire, conception and your perception of, life changes. And that is what actually motivated me, that, I can escape from Assam, stay in Delhi and, do whatever. But if I come back here and work for my people, then perhaps later in life, when you look back on your own life, you will say, yes, I have done something meaningful. Otherwise, without a meaning, life has got no meaning.
So wonderfully put there, and I hope many people draw inspiration from that, because I think this is a problem that the region is facing of brain drain. All the cream of the society are actually leaving, and that's why we have a scarcity. So would you also like to add to that, because you've made a similar choice?
Yes, I did, and actually I was very particular about it from the very initial stage itself. When we went to Delhi, amongst all the students in our batch who went to Delhi, you know, that particular year, I see that only 40% may have come back, 30–40%. Many of them have left the country even, and they're very happily settled where they are. But my priorities were very clear from the initial stage itself. Coming from a small town and being very, you know, connected to my family. I come from a very close-knit family. It was a joint family, and my family members have always supported me, you know, like anything. I was the eldest daughter in the family, and I was never, you know, been made to feel that I am a girl or that I have to grow up, get married, or that kind of a scene.
Yeah.
It was always there. My mother thought so, my uncles, my dad, everybody. It was, you know, it was known to everyone that I would go on ahead and do something, you know. Not just be a homemaker, which is of course a great thing itself,
yeah.
but I always knew that I would like to have a career, chart a career of my own. And once I had completed my masters, and I even cleared my NET that particular year from Delhi University, so I was very clear that I would come back to Assam, and of course I would sit for my Assam Civil Service APSC exams, or else maybe, you know, I would get into lecturership. So that thing was always there, and like Baido said, I fully agree with her. I had it in my mind that no, I need to go back and I need to be there, you know, I need to be there in Assam. And when you join, when you make up your mind that you want to come back, then actually there is no stopping you. Although there was a vista of opportunities that were opened, you know, for me in Delhi, because there are so many things you can actually do and stay back and do really well. But I was always focused. I thought I'm going to come back. So I was always teased back home, you know, that okay, you couldn't stay away from home. Yeah, you may say that, but yeah, I decided to come back, and I came back, and I'm really happy with my choice.
Yeah, and you've contributed much, and we need more people like that. All right, my next question would be to Ms. Sujata, and I'm sure you'd all like to add as well. Now when we look at the three of you, you're successful women, very confident, very bold, doing what you were doing very well. But definitely life's not been a cakewalk. There have been a lot of struggles, and you know, usually people look at the finished product and they're never willing to dig into the behind the scenes. So I think on this show, this would be a good platform for a lot of young girls who are watching, who might have sat for the civil service examinations and said, okay, I didn't clear it, maybe I'm hopeless, I'm not good at anything. So if you can just enlighten them about what were the hardships you faced and how did you overcome that?
Well, basically is that when you prepare for a competitive examination, you need to have that confidence, like as Baido highlighted and Pami highlighted very well, that you have to have that commitment. Just sitting for an APSC exam or competitive exam won't, you know, won't come up to your expectations. Like you want to clear it, the exam, but on the other hand, you are not prepared at all. You are not committed to it. Then it will be a, you know, bottleneck in it. So basically, you should be. You know, you should have that confidence. You should open up your every avenues, like through which you can, you know, equip yourself, you know, in a way that you are able to sit in an examination and perform well, just like perform well. And you don't need to look back, you know, see that this thing is not, you know, I won't be able to do it, or this subject is not mine, because you have a choice to make. You have a choice, you know, the subjects which you need to sit for the exam. So in that angle also, if you see that confidence should come from within, first thing, your commitment to it, your hard work will be most essential. And the other way around is that while you sit for the exam, any type of competitive examination, you should you know, not be, you know, within that bookish thing. It should be beyond that, you know, your purviews, the way you look into things, in the current affairs concerned. Like at that time when we appeared for our competitive examination, because I was a student of international relations in political science, so I had a good you know, opportunity to go through the magazines, the newspapers, because at that time the Gulf War issue was also very much there, you know, we had to study during our course. So being a student of international relations as well as public relations, my choice of subjects was accordingly that. I chose history also, and these are quite connected with political science subjects. So subject specific, if you are well equipped, you will be successful. No one is there to stop you.
So, very interesting point you just mentioned, that just bookish knowledge is not enough, and that is a misconception that people very often have when you're talking about the competitive exams, that I've done the coaching, I've read the books, so I'm prepared. So what would you like to add to that? What would you like to tell people?
I should not be the role model for this. I think because as I told you, it was by chance and not by design.
Yeah.
Now I generally would tell all the viewers, I want to break the myth that it is a tough exam. It is not. You need common sense. You need to be good in your studies. If you've done your studies well throughout, so you've gathered your knowledge all over, it is not something that would come in a day. You cannot say, I have the exam in front of me and so this is the syllabus I have to go through, or these are the books I have to go through. If you have built up that knowledge over the period of time during your school years, your college years, this is just a cakewalk. I took the exam when I had my first baby and she was 1 month old. So you can imagine as a mother with a 1 month old baby taking the Assam Civil Service exam and clearing it at the first go with a 3rd position. Okay. So I always tell people that it is a myth. If you are good at your work and you are sincere, sincerity counts. If you are sincere, it is something that you have accumulated over the years in school, in college, everything, and then everything is a cakewalk. It is nothing so difficult. But we approach the exam with the fear or with the conception either of corruption taking place and therefore I will not make it, somebody who will give money will make it. That is one, that perception is there, and therefore you are not sincere in your work, you don't do it. The second is that it is a tough exam. I am not good. I will not be able to make it. Go ahead and do it and see. That is how I approached it. Very relaxed with a 1 month old baby. I still remember when I did my prelims, I went, sat for the prelims, the first half, came back home, gave feed to the baby, washed the baby, gave her a bath, and then went and took the second half examination.
Wow.
I mean, it is, if I take it easily, like I always think that in life, forget the exam, in life, if you take things easy, you will see that everything falls in place. It's just there.
Right.
But if you approach something as difficult, you will find that, it's like saying positive attracts positiveness, negative attracts negativeness. So that is what my philosophy in life is. And I think for all the viewers, go ahead, don't fear it, take it. If you make it, well and good. If you don't make it, there are so many other opportunities. This is not the end of your life.
I think you've articulated it so well right there, that if you are sincere, then not even the sky is the limit. So I think that is something we need to take to our hearts and just change the attitude with which we approach a particular task at hand. So on that note, viewers, it's time to slip into a quick break, but lots more coming up on the other side of Women's World. Stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. You're still watching Women's World with me, Sonia Bhattacharya, and I'm still in conversation with the 3 very, very inspiring women. So let's quickly get back to this very interesting conversation that we've been having, to know that someone can actually clear the civil services very easily despite having a 1 month old child. That is something that has really changed my mindset. And I've also gotten to know, viewers, that the other 2 lovely ladies who've also joined us are also married. You're also married, you have a successful family life. So tell us a little more about that. How easy or difficult is it to be juggling the 2 lives?
Well, I'll tell you, honestly speaking, I don't think so. It's like very easy. It's not a cakewalk at all, even if you're determined and you have a very supportive family, and then it's a completely beautiful, from outside, it looks, but actually you have to do a lot of juggling. And for example, I just give you a very small incident, okay. For example, say tomorrow I have an election duty, which is a very important part of my job. And the same day my daughter decides to fall ill, It just happens. She was like, she had high fever and you know, she was really suffering from high fever and all that. So I had that in my mind, that should I stay back, be with her, or at the same time I had my work, you know, my duties on the other side. So what do I do? So then sometimes you're caught in this entire thing of dilemma, you know, and then you realize that, okay, am I being a good mom? And at the same time, if you are being a good mom, you decide to stay back, then there's always this guilty feeling that comes in your mind. Am I not doing the right thing towards my job? Because it's not merely a job for me, it has become the way of life for me, okay?
And it's service.
So yeah, it's a service for me, and you know, there is this dichotomy that comes to my mind. But then I don't think so it's a Herculean task. You can definitely manage to be a good mother, a wife, and at the same time you can be very good at your work too. It depends on the choices that you make and the priorities that you set in life. And this is what I would also like to tell to the other civil service aspirants, especially women, you know. Sometimes we get this fear in our heads that, okay, you might be transferred out, you might be in a very difficult position, you might have to stay working till very late night. So then, you know, but again at the same time I'll tell you that the administrative setup, it's not so inhuman that it will be, you know, forcing you to be, you know, be at the job, be working, and not be doing your duties as a mom and a wife. Because when we work together as a team. Very small example, say you have to work late night in office. If there is the emergency situation or at home, or you need to get back, you can definitely tell your co-workers, your superior, and they understand. That's what I have been going through, you know. For example, the Ambubasi Mela just happened, and me and Sujata Ba, we were given duties there. So my duty schedule was from 2 p.m. till 10 p.m. But during that particular time, my son was not keeping very well. So I kept it forward before my colleagues. And then it was so nice of them that I could change the slot in such a way that I could be there at work, and at the same time I could go home and be there with my son. Okay. So that is what I believe, you know, that you need to do a lot of juggling, and at the same time you have to do smart juggling. That's what I feel. And the priorities, like I told you, you have to put certain things very clear, and family support definitely matters, because see, when you come to join civil services, it's very challenging. You know what is there for you, what is there laid out for you, no? So you are aware of it. So you must be ready to make the sacrifices and go ahead undeterred. So it's like that, and you cannot join it and later say, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. You have to have your choices. You have to know how to do it.
You have to make up your mind.
Yes, you have to make your mind.
Okay, okay, that's
actually
nice.
Just to add to her thing, I think once you've decided to enter the civil service, one thing that I would say you have to build up is the support system. That is very, very important. You have to build up your support system. Let me just tell you, 25 years back when I entered the service, I was posted to Bijni. 25 years back, not today's Bijni, not today's road. It was 25 years back roads, which were, you know, really in a bad condition. And I had a 2-year, 8-month-old daughter and a 7-month-old son. And I was posted to Bijni. There was no infrastructure in Bijni where you could have taken your family. I left my daughter and son with the father here who works in a bank, and I have to give due credit to him that without his support, I would not have been here. Many women probably would have been forced to leave their jobs if they had been put into that position. But one thing that my husband did was go ahead, I am there to look after them. And so I kept a Kong, and the children were here and I was in Bijni. So what you have to do is build up that support system. If you have a good support system, you can always carry on with your life. Because one thing is that in administration, you know, what Pommy says is partly right, but I will not make a request to my colleagues on personal grounds that I have this difficulty and so can you chip in for me. It doesn't look good because I have entered into this system. So build up my support system and you do your work. This is something that I would like to tell the new entrants that are coming in, because ultimately I always believe in the frog story. If you are in your comfort zone, you will die like the frog in that boiling water. If you move away from the comfort zone and decide to venture into life, you will be a success. That is what I want to,
Right.
the message that should go to the viewers.
I think success always lies outside the comfort zone.
Outside the comfort zone.
And it's important to have a support system from home.
You have whatever, your home, your Kong, your ayah,
Yeah.
your husband's family, whatever be the system.
No, but
something.
Here I would like to add one thing. That is, sometimes what happens is we are not all of us endowed in such a way that you can actually have a backup or a support system, because I have met younger colleagues, younger female colleagues in our service who are initially entered the service and maybe who do not have that kind of a support or a backup, maybe single mothers or maybe people coming from diverse backgrounds. So during those particular periods of time when you're working in an office as a team with your co-workers and colleagues, so this kind of support from your colleagues,
that is also a support system.
Really, like Baido said, that's what me requesting my colleague and she agreeing to help me is in fact a very big support system.
Absolutely.
That is
Because my
also a
husband
support
has
system.
always supported me, my families have always supported me, but my colleagues having my back is something which I'm really
Which is
proud
also
of
very
in the civil service.
So it's all about team spirit, whether it be the family
correct.
or it be your colleagues. So, Ms. Sujata, would you also like to add
Yes,
to that?
the thing is that me and my husband both are from the same batch. So both are working parents and we have got 2 girls. The thing is that the support system which Baido highlighted and Pommy highlighted, I am in toe with it. But the fact is that the system which you try to create, the support system which you want to have around you should be in such a way that when it comes for the other person, then even I am ready for it.
Yeah.
So that reciprocation should come in, and once that reciprocation comes in and you have a comfort zone in a sense that you have your boss understanding you, you have your colleagues understanding you, that's the comfort zone for all of us.
Yeah.
So once we are in that zone and the family out there who is all along with you, then there is no issue at all.
So treat your colleagues the way you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
And the minute you start doing that, things become more easy for everyone.
Correct.
All right. Now coming to another question, I have interacted with quite a few women who've come from different professions, and as I've conversed with them, I figured out that some fields are women friendly and some are a little more hostile. So how would you define your work, your field? Would you define it as women friendly, or is it a little more difficult? I'm talking about just about the work, the kind of work that you do.
See, the work that we do, I will not say it's hostile at all.
Yeah.
It is how you actually take the people along with you. See, you have to create the work environment.
All right.
Now, wherever I have worked, I have always found that once I create that environment around me, it is always so easy to work with. If you don't create that environment, you will find it hostile. So it depends on an individual as to how friendly he or she can make that environment. It is not about women, it is even about men. Even men will have to create that environment, because in today's world, I will always say that, bossism doesn't go. You giving orders doesn't go. It is, you have to take the people into confidence, your co-workers, and you have to take them with you, and you will see that, things fall in place. So I don't think there is a hostility anywhere. But as a woman, yes, things are a little more difficult, because many a times I felt in my own personal experience, you are asked to prove yourself.
Yeah.
You see, it doesn't, I will tell you one story, not a story, it's a fact, that, my name was said for some posting somewhere. So somebody asked that person, like, how is she? She's a woman. So the answer that was given by this person was, she's not a woman, she's an officer. So you can make out the difference.
Yes.
Clearly it spells the difference, that if it was a man, then all men are officers, but all women perhaps are not officers.
So they're looked at as a woman first and then an officer. And that needs to change. So would you both also like to add to this? Ma'am has brought out a very important point right there, that a woman needs to prove her capability more than a man does. So have you had such experiences as well?
Yeah, that is what Baido has said. I fully agree. The thing is, I have not faced a hostile environment, but yeah, inconveniences sometimes, maybe being a woman. And yes, you've had to prove yourself when you are a woman. Maybe, I don't know, we are conditioned to think like that. all of us, I mean persons who are on the other side of the table and the one across, or maybe that's the general purview. I feel that in spite of all the empowerment that we have achieved till date and all the strides that we have made as women, but somewhere down the line there is this mental thought, there is this thing that I am a woman. So maybe even if that person is not thinking, I have seen with myself as well as others, maybe it's that I am a woman, so I need to prove myself. And I think in one way, this thing of women proving themselves has led to many brilliant lady officers.
Yeah.
So I admire so many officers in our services who have gone beyond proving. They've actually broken the bastion and have done so well.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with her when she says that, yes, we have to prove ourselves, because
have to work a little
that
harder.
lady officer tag, maybe, oh yes, she's a woman, so she has to go home early. She has kids behind, all those things, they have a play. Oh, maybe she's married, she's not married. If she's not married, again, or even if she's married, what about safety, security of the women? So those issues are always there. So I will not say that, okay, it's totally, completely a safe haven for women. I mean, of course, safety and security and all are there, but being a woman, there are certain disadvantages, definitely. But again, it's how you make the best out of it.
Right.
So we have learned to actually maneuver through all that and made the
So
best
there is a stereotypical notion
Yes,
that people
correct.
have.
Yeah.
Ms. Sujata, you'd also like to add to this.
Basically the thing is that being a lady, you have to face those things, and as highlighted by Pommy very correctly, like it depends upon you as to how you maneuver yourself, how you place your things before your colleague officers as well as your seniors. And another thing, most important thing is that you need to prove yourself, so that nobody takes you that easily.
But once you have actually shown your work,
Yeah.
then there's no question.
That isn't.
Yes.
After that, they take
Then they
you
take
very
you seriously.
easily.
Yeah.
Yes, even our superior.
Initially, you have to
yes,
just
ma'am.
show.
Yes, ma'am. Initially, because you make a statement by your work, what
Yeah.
you do. So once the statement is made, it's a gala time on your part. Like you can win everything, because as Baido told that you will have to take it very easily, everything. It should, once you take it in a positive way, the
Right.
positivity comes in. Once you are negative in your mindset, everything comes, it becomes difficult for you to deal with situations. We have many harsh situations, like we have to go for 18 hours duty continuously. But we don't, we're keeping ourselves tight and strong and to prove ourselves that we are equivalent to others. So we keep to ourselves, even struggling, keeping to ourselves many things, but we try to appear very strong and bold. And yes, it has come, helped us in many ways, and it has come to be a like advantage game for us, those who have made those statements. So sacrifices is necessary. You'll have to sacrifice if you want to have, if you want to gain something, you'll have to sacrifice a bit. For that, families sometimes they have issues with you, but being a woman, being a daughter-in-law, being a mother of 2 girls, being a wife of a colleague officer, so from that angle, I have to maneuver it in a different way. Like,
Yeah.
but even then, what I have seen is that now I have completed almost 19 years of my service. During this period, many hard situations I have passed through, family life as well as in working environment, but those have given me the positive input into me, and I have become more stronger. And these Baido, people like Nadida Baido, they are ideals for us. So we look up to them. So once we find them so strong, so why we fall back? We also need to march along with them.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there will be the younger aspirants who look up to you as well in the days to come. So that's definitely going to happen. So I think women have this capability to maneuver through the challenges that are put before them, and they've been doing that for years.
Yes.
However, let's hope that in the days to come, the society is going to change as well. That needs to happen.
Yes.
Well, on that note, viewers, we'll take another break, but a lot more coming up. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back, viewers. You're still watching Women's World. So we have been talking so much about the kind of challenges that you have faced and how it has strengthened you. Now let's, I do like to talk about the time when people just started off and they stepped into a profession as a fresher. So were you ever taken lightly because you were a woman? Did that ever happen? When you just stepped into, your field of work as a young girl? who just cleared her exams, and you look very young as well. You know, so did someone ever just take you like, oh, she's a young girl, what does she know? Did that ever happen? Did you?
Yes, yes, it has happened with me. But then I look back and I laugh at it, and anyways, you know, we have to experience all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Well, I was fresh out of the university, and then we were in a meeting, all of us. Then, of course, duties were being delegated to all the officers, and since I was fresh out of my studies and all raring to go, you know, in the administrative field, so I was really looking forward to being handed over some responsibility. But finally, at the end of the day, what happened was I was just given some side work. Okay, you be a backup to somebody like that.
Okay.
So I thought that maybe that is the protocol, that is how everything happens.
Yeah.
But anyways, when it was actually during the elections, that time I was posted in Mangalore. But then the day of the counting, what had happened was when you know, the process had actually started, and there were very less people somehow in one particular room where all the ballot boxes and everything had come and all. And then all of a sudden I was given a lot of tasks by my deputy commissioner. You this. Well, of course I wasn't prepared because I was supposed to be somebody's backup.
Yeah.
But when I was said, hey, you've got to do all this, you know, then I was like, okay, I'm not ready, but I was of course very happy. So I jumped into the occasion, and maybe I was very enthusiastic, like everyone said, no, to prove myself. So I got it done. Then and then I felt good that I actually did some good work.
Yeah.
And then, then that realization came to me that look, I was treated that way because maybe everyone thought that she's a fresher. She's, you know, straight out of college or university, or maybe she needs a little time or, you know, coaching or whatever, you know, she needs to be groomed in this particular line. But then I proved myself, and later on there was no looking back. And then there was another incident when actually a very senior officer, he was saying a few things, so we were listening to him, and then he thought I did not understand a particular word. So he tried to, you know, spell it out to me. So I was like, I couldn't control myself, and I said, sir, I actually know the spelling. So these are the small things, you know, when you first enter and you have been faced with. And then there was this floods. So everybody thought that she's new, so maybe she can't get on a boat or go out into the field. It's flood, so she should stay back in the office. So yes, those things have happened, but then over a period of time when I've been given the task and I have you know, done the job very meticulously, so then after that there is no looking back.
Okay, and then like we've said, you know, your work speaks for
itself. Yeah, your work speaks. But
Ultimately.
I think this is not only for administrative services, for any other services, any corporate sector, anywhere you go, you know, when you are a newbie, when you are a first timers, I think this kind of apprehensions are always there.
Yeah.
So once you do your work and you prove yourself that you can actually live up to the moment, live up to the occasion, then you can get all kinds of opportunities.
All right, yes, very well put there. You know, now, talking about a society like India where it is patriarchal, or, you know, we still have males dominating women, that still exists. So being administrators, you're in a position of leadership. You have to lead a team, there are policies you have to make, there are meetings you lead. So does that ever become difficult, being a woman leader, to lead a group of men? Does that ever
I'll just divert from your this thing when you're talking of a patriarchal society. I'm a gender trainer by the government of India, and I had been sent to Afghanistan to do a gender training for the Afghanistan National Disaster Management Authority. It was one of my toughest assignment, I would say, because if you call India a patriarchal society, you have to see Afghanistan.
Yes, I do agree with that.
It's something that I still remember when I had gone there for this training. I was with UNDP at that time, and the strict instructions given to me was cover your head, don't show your hair, you know, wear loose-fitting clothes. A lot of restrictions. And when I had to train up this thing, there was so much of resistance. Even, you know, a simple sentence like, you know, the natural guardian of the child is who? They would say men. You know, they will not even accept that, you know, both mother and father are the natural guardians of the child. So those type of patriarchal societies, once you have seen and probably experienced, dealt with, here it is nothing.
Right.
I mean, and especially in Assam, I would say, especially in Assam, because in Assam, for whatever reason, I find that our, you know, male counterparts, they are much more understanding, they are much more open-minded than anywhere. Again, a second instance, as a trainer, I had gone to Delhi to take a direct trainer skill course for a group of, officers. And after the end of the training, I asked them any questions, and I see a hand coming up. I said, oh, they've got a question. So I said, yes, what? So you know what they asked me? He asked me, that person asked me, ma'am, how does your husband tolerate you? So I was, flabbergasted.
Okay.
Like, I said,
That's
what?
an appalling question.
Oh, what? He said, no, you're so dominating, and you're so, outspoken, and you're so, trying to establish
extrovert,
yourself. So then I had to give him a comparison with the Assam males and the males outside Assam. How, because of the various tribal influences, I would say, the matriarchal influences that we had, our male society is much more understanding than anywhere else, I would say, than compared to anywhere else. Therefore, here you will not really find so much of a difficulty in tackling. I know that has been my personal experience.
So Ms. Sujata, would you also like to add to that?
Yes, we are given duties at par with our men colleagues. Okay? So thing is that now recently in the Ambubasi Mela duty, even I was assigned with that duty. I had been there continuously in one camp for 18 hours for some circumstances, like we cannot move out because of the rush of the crowd and due to assigned duties. So thing is that at that time, I was sitting there and with my male colleague officers, always sitting, and we chatted and we passed off the time. So I didn't make them feel that I am a woman. I have a home at my, at the back of my mind. I have my family, I have my children. So I'll have to think about the family. I didn't put a single word didn't come out from my mouth in that way. So that was an instance. I am just citing you. Another thing is that initially I was posted in Margherita. It's a subdivision in Tinsukia district. So at that time, during the 90s, late 90s also, there were army operations going on there. So we were magistrates being, we had to accompany the, army people. So we had to cross a river. Hardly we used to, during my school days or in college or something like that. So at that time, though, river side, though, we didn't had any business with crossing the river and on duty purpose. So I had to accompany these army people. So I was the only magistrate who accompanied the army people high up the mountains, crossing the rivers into the forest, though it is so inhuman, like there is no lighting facilities, no electricity in those areas, interior areas. So we had to recover bodies of extremists who were killed there, and we had to conduct inquest. The inquest is a process where we had to look those bodies which have unnatural death. So we have to examine every part of their body. Here the body being a male or that of a male or a female. So we were at par with, there was no, nothing came in my mind that I am a female officer, a lady officer, how will I turn the body, how will I look into the parts, every part of the body. So there was no any issue as such. So, the circumstances within which you look into yourself, you put yourself, that positivity, that, not thinking about being a lady, that comes into play. So, as Baidu rightly said, our male officers, the support which we get from them, if I want to say in a few sentences, it would be not enough. We are very grateful to them. And for that, we do not feel that, male chauvinism, that word doesn't come into our mind. Because we have molded ourselves in such a way that we can sit equally with the man. We can perform any job we are assigned to. So 18 hours for a lady, sitting in the camp from 10:30 in the morning till 4:30 in the evening, next morning. So I was there, but it is not me as a person. It might be more for me also if the circumstances require. So the attitude comes from you. So whatever male chauvinism is there, it will just just go off. Once you treat yourself as at par with, of course, biologically we are weaker than the male, but we'll have to accept that. But as far as work is concerned, that does not apply here. So basically, being a female or a lady officer, you'll have to look into yourself as an officer, not with the term lady officer or
a male officer. We need to have a gender neutral attitude.
It's basically, I always think it's basically how you perceive others.
Yeah.
You see, if you think that that's a male chauvinism, you will probably find out all the faults of thing. So I think it's all on in an individual how you take this situation.
And I think it's something to be proud about here. I'm very happy to know that in the Northeast specifically, we're very women friendly, more egalitarian compared to the national arena as well. So that's good to know that things are better this side. So I would have loved to continue this chit chat. I'm sure there were a lot more other things that we should have also talked about, more experiences to draw out from you. Unfortunately, we've got time restrictions. But before we wrap up, I think there's so many young girls who are watching the show right now and they're wondering, I want to become an officer, I want to get into the civil services, but there are fears, there are restrictions holding them back. And that's why you see a lot of women usually taking up more comfortable career options. I will not name them because I think everyone has a respect on its own. But you know what I mean. There are certain career options which they consider befitting for women. And when you talk about officers, they think, no, that's more of a male-dominated thing. So that fear holds them back. So if you could use this platform, we'll start with you, Ms. Pommy, to just put out a message for all the young aspirants right now, the girls in particular, what would you tell them?
Well, I would like to tell all of them that first of all, do soul searching. That's most important. You've got to look inside yourself and know what exactly you want in life. If you think that you want a comfortable, cushy job, then definitely the civil services are not for you. And if you think that you can take the challenges, you are up to it, and then definitely you should go for civil services. Why not? Because, and again, don't look at the glamour side only. Because recently a very young girl came up to me and said, Madam, I would like to join the civil services. Can you give us a tips? First thing I asked her was, why would you want to be a civil servant? Then she said that, yeah, there's so much of glamour involved. I'm already working somewhere, but I feel this is very glamorous. Then I said that, well, if you only look at the glamour side, then this is not the right job for you. Because there's so many things beyond this, beyond the job. So first you got to know what you actually want. You should be able to make sacrifices and you should live up to the demands of the job. You should look beyond yourself as being a person. You should look at yourself as an officer, not as a woman. And you should forget these biases and myths that are there in this job. And one more thing, this is not an easy job, not a cushy job. So you should be up for all the challenges that lie ahead of you, and you need to be very confident. And like everybody has said, you should have a support system. You already know what's there laid out for you, so you should go ahead single-handedly, single-mindedly and very focused for it. And then I don't think so there's anything you need to be afraid of. Fear shouldn't happen, because people have done greater, more wonderful things in their own field of work. So they should just go ahead.
Fear should never hold us back.
No, there should be no fear.
And would you quickly just like to add, we're really running out of time, but just a few words.
It's a very challenging job, but it's a job where you can do a lot for the people if you have the inclination and if your mindset is there. You can bring about a change in people's life, and making that difference in people's life is what will ultimately count. So I would implore on them, all the viewers, join this service. Don't think it to be, glamorous or whatever.
That shouldn't be.
But it's something where you can make a difference to the lives of thousands of people.
All right, that's lovely. And Ms. Sujata, quickly, we'll hear from you as well.
The thing is that I would like to, appeal to the new aspirants that the most important thing is that the commitment, your commitment towards your society. First thing, when you are into a civil service, you will have to be committed to the society. You will have to look beyond yourself. So, even before we all sitting in the APSC, we had that commitment. Like initially I had told you that I was scared of maths and science, but that in a lighter mood I had shared with you. But thing is that commitment comes from you, it comes from the starting point, from the school environment, from where you pursued your career, education. So that environment, because being a student of political science, I had that vision, like commitment, society, the unit of the society is a family. So from that it starts off. It's sociology, political science, wherever you find the unit is your family. So the family thing comes in first. The support system, you'll have to realize that whatever job you are into it is a challenging thing. You'll have to face it. And another most important thing is that confidence. The confidence should come in yourself.
Yes, that's very well put there. So viewers, I hope you've been able to learn so much from that. I surely did. When you have confidence, when you're passionate about it, and when you have the correct motive in your heart, service needs to be the motive, then nothing is impossible. Hopefully in the days to come, we will see more females, more women joining the civil services in the days to come. Well, on that note, it's a wrap of this edition of Women's World, but stay tuned to Northeast Live because I'll be back with a fresh episode next Tuesday at 8 p.m. But till then, keep watching Northeast Live for more news and latest updates. Thanks for joining us.